Hi, everyone. Karen Roby with TechRepublic here today. I'm happy to be talking with Con Leong. He is the co-founder and CEO of Zeal Technologies. And Con, we've talked before in the past, today kind of focusing on HR analytics. You know, the Great Resignation is upon us. I have a feeling we're going to get kind of tired of using that term and some other terms that have been used, but there's no doubt, problems companies are having with keeping good talent. And, we're in an interesting pinch right now because of COVID, it seems. Would you agree?
Absolutely. There's been various terms attached to this phenomenon, people being cooped up for long periods and then re-examining their life, their purpose, and so forth. And that's resulted in quite a phenomenon for HR managers. They call it by varying terms, the turnover contagion, the Great Resignation, the mass attrition, and so forth. Although some have actually gone the other way and said, maybe this is the Great Realization, trying to put a positive spin to it. At any rate, the economic loss and the impact on morale, and of course, the succeeding domino effect is making a lot of executives sit up and pay attention. It's not just a direct loss of an employee, but it's also the morale and impact, the signaling or the empathy effect on the surrounding people who may be asking, why am I still here? Or perhaps more practical issues such as more work for the remaining staff. All of this has tremendous impact on the enterprise, especially with regard to the cost of replacement, the recruiter phase, the interview time by management, and the onboarding cost. It just adds up on and on. It would be a lot simpler to attack the issue at its source, which is how do we, A, detect such movement to leave the company, and B, what can we do to actually retain the ones we really want to?
And Con, when we look at those people that are vulnerable or at risk for leaving, how do we pinpoint them?
Actually, in this day and age of the digital era, we talk a lot about digital transformation. The underlying advantage is that everything is captured in digital form somewhere or the other. We are 24/7 on the handset. We have laptops. We have all sorts of things. We're very connected. And as such, the connections generate a tremendous amount of digital work product, detritus, some might say. And buried in that mass of information is a whole lot of information about where the people are, what are they thinking and feeling, and so forth. So this is actually an untapped source of managerial information that can be used to great effect. And that's, I think, the emerging trend to look at this information that no one had ever really looked at twice before, and finding that it's really a gold mine to use to manage the enterprise in a far better fashion.
And Con, if you will, just kind of give us an example of, what the data would look like. What would it show or say about a particular employee, again, who may be at risk for leaving?
For example, if you wanted to know who might be at risk of leaving, most of the time, people don't just wake up one morning and say, I'm quitting. Usually it takes, the recruiters say, about a 6-month process by which they re-examine where they are, where they're going, and so forth. And in that 6-month period, we leave breadcrumbs all over the place in terms of disengagement, in terms of lag time between emails or messages, in terms of number of projects outstanding, in terms of even number of dental and doctor appointments racking up. So all of these are signals. And if you can figure out that, hey, we've got a dissatisfied employee or unfulfilled employee, then you can actually hit them off at the pass and saying, okay, let's sit down and see what we can do to improve your work life. That's a whole lot more productive than trying to do damage control after they leave.
And Con, do you think some HR departments, just companies in general, would be surprised to know about the technology that is available, that these techniques are out there?
I think so. In fact, it actually goes down to a very core issue. And sometimes when I bring it out, uh, it causes people to pause and think. If we can store every bit of human work product and you accumulate it over time, it is essentially your corporate memory. That has huge implications. For example, institutional memory is critical to figure out a whole lot of managerial issues, including the strengths and weaknesses, where you're headed, and even practical things like who knows what about what and when. The implications are huge. And it's basically the flip side of what has been going on in enterprise IT. For the last 70, 80 years, we've been focusing on structured data, ERP data, SAP data. We've neglected the other side, which is the human side. And now this opens up a new era of IT focused on the human resources. We're pretty excited about the implications.
It sounds like it. All right, Kong, kind of looking ahead here, how does HR analytics, how does it look different, say a year, 2 years down the road?
I think it is an absolute godsend and a necessity, because the COVID, even post-COVID, has completely changed the work environment. We won't be going back to where we were. So in other words, a lot of your workforce will be out of sight and hopefully not out of mind. But how does one manage someone you can't see, because we've been used to the close proximity? And herein lies the key to that. Using technology to keep all of the players engaged and productive. That is an absolute necessity. And whether we like it or not, it will play a central role.
All right, Kong, thanks so much for being here with me today. For much more, we hope you will check out TechRepublic. We appreciate you watching us here today.